Yao Ming is one of China's biggest stars, literally. He's about 7'4". He was in the NBA for 9 years and has returned home to bring what he learned in the U.S. about sports to China.
So can you explain how the Chinese sports system works?
It is almost like a manufacturing system.
A manufacturing system for people.
For people.
Yao has thrived. But what about the others who've come through the sports system?
Oh, he is unreal.
Zhang Shangwu is an extreme example.
This guy, he's fantastic.
But a few months after this competition, he tore his Achilles tendon and was cut from the national team. His public performances now are on the streets of Beijing. He told us he sold most of his medals for small sums of cash.
Get the ball!
The effect he has on his players comes with intensity.
Don't get soft in me, Werner. Cody got outfought.
Unfiltered honesty.
You could have won the game yourself.
And always with one purpose.
You didn't move your feet. Fuck. I can't handle losing. I have a physical reaction when I was a player. I still have a physical reaction when I coach.
What does it do to you?
I don't sleep. I can't think about anything else. It consumes me.
Summer on Cape Cod. The quiet of boats rocking on their moorings. The serenity of harbors and beaches, broken by that familiar sound. Young men trying to realize their dreams on the Cape's dusty baseball diamonds.
Hey, how you doing? Matt Hyde with the Yankees.
Jay
You're
Spencer,
having an awesome summer.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I covered you for maybe 6 or 7 games.
Yes, sir.
Keep it up.
I will do.
Keep having
appreciate
fun
that.
with it.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
it's been fun to watch you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
How special is this league?
Well, this league is the best amateur league in the world, bar none.
I'm Scott Pelley.
I'm Leslie Stahl.
I'm Armin Katayan.
I'm James Brown.
I'm Sharon Alfonsi. Those stories and the GoPro Moment of the Month on this edition of 60 Minutes Sports.
Athletes from China won 51 gold medals in the 2008 Beijing Olympics, the most of any nation. China's success should hardly come as a surprise. For decades, a sprawling, government-run sports system has been taking promising young athletes and grooming them to be Olympic champions. The system is officially known as the General Administration of Sport, but in China it's also been called, appropriately, the Gold Medal Factory. It's gotten very good at winning, but less good at preparing athletes for life in the new China. And so at a time of enormous change, the Gold Medal Factory finds itself at a crossroads, as we discovered when we paid a visit to one of China's most famous athletes, Yao Ming.
So where are we? What is this sports complex?
This is we call training facility.
Yao Ming is one of China's biggest stars, literally. He's about 7'4". He was in the NBA for 9 years and has returned home to bring what he learned in the U.S. about sports to China. He helped us get a rare look inside the Shanghai Sports Institute, where some of China's elite athletes train.
So this could be you, as a kid.
20 years ago, yeah.
20 years ago.
Yao used to train on the courts here. He's a proud product of the Chinese sports system and intimately familiar with the problems it is trying to address.
So can you explain how the Chinese sports system works? It's very different from the American.
Obviously, it's very different. It is almost like a manufacturing system.
A manufacturing system for people.
For people.
The Chinese sports system wasn't always a gold medal factory. When the communists took power in 1949, Mao Zedong promoted fitness for the masses. He was famous for swimming in the Yangtze River. Soon, a sports system was developed based on the rigorous Soviet model. Remember ping-pong diplomacy? Those players were among the best in the world. But over the years, the focus shifted from the masses to winning glory for the state. And after that, only potential champions were encouraged. To this day, China recruits athletes at an early age, some as young as 3 years old, in Yao's case, perhaps even earlier. According to a biography of him, sports officials did a little matchmaking with his parents.
Can I ask you a personal question? Because I read this, that the state did an arranged marriage for your parents because they were both really tall and they wanted to produce you.
I don't think that's true.
You don't think that's true?
I don't think that's true.
Would they tell you?
I look at the picture of when they married. I think they look happy.
One thing's for sure, Yao was on the sports system's radar by the time of his birth. At 11 pounds and 23 inches, he was nearly twice the size of the average Chinese newborn.
My parents used to be in the system, play basketball, so they know me since I was born.
Your parents went through the same system you went through?
Yes. Actually, my parents don't want me to go through the system, especially my mom. My mom wants me to go to the regular school and maybe get a scholarship for college.
But if your mother didn't want you to do it, how come it happened?
First of all, how many sons really listen to their mom?
By the time he was a teenager, he was living here on the grounds of the Sports Institute. Of the estimated 50,000 elite athletes in the Chinese sports system, the ones here are among the best in a variety of sports. We were unable to determine how many hours a day they train. When Yao was here, he says he trained day in and day out and only got about 10 hours of education a week.
While I was here, I go to school every Monday morning, Wednesday morning, and a Friday afternoon.
Otherwise, you were practicing.
Right.
If you were running the place, would you have kids 14 years old playing that much, practicing that much?
I probably would not let my kids play that much, almost like a boot camp for the Army.
One of the things I've heard is, as a complaint, is that once you're in the system and you're over a certain age, forget education.
Well, that is true, that we don't get enough education. That's why I'm back to college now.
How old are you?
34.
And you're in college?
With a bunch of my classmates, only 22. Interesting.
How are you doing?
Don't ask.
It's really hard.
Don't ask.
By age 19, he had joined China's national team and was playing for a professional team, the Shanghai Sharks, where he caught the eye of NBA scouts.
The Houston Rockets select Yao Ming from Shanghai, China.
He may have had only 10 hours of schooling a week, but Yao was smart enough to convince the sports system to let him go and play in the United States. And in return, he promised to play for China in the Olympics. It was surprising that he was allowed to keep most of the $93 million he reportedly made throughout his career, but he had to fight for the money with the sports system.
They wanted to take a huge cut of your earnings.
Well, they started at 50.
They've started at 50. They wanted half your earnings, but you got it down to 10%.
I have a good agent team.
You had good negotiators, but you did get it way down.
Yeah, get it all the way down.
Yao has thrived. But what about the others who've come through the sports system? In the old days, elite athletes were guaranteed a job after their sports careers. But in the new, more market-oriented economy, they're often on their own. While some do go to universities or become coaches, there are no reliable unemployment numbers for them. A government report last year acknowledges there is a problem. Zhang Shengwu is an extreme example.
He is unreal.
Here in 2000, Zhang had high hopes for the 2004 Olympics. Like Yao, he had gone into the sports system at a very young age.
This guy, he's fantastic. Everywhere that we've seen him, he's tremendous.
But a few months after this competition, he tore his Achilles tendon and was cut from the national team. His public performances now are on the streets of Beijing after a stint in prison for stealing. He told us he sold most of his medals for small sums of cash.
So what happened?
Everything was paid by the nation. Food, lodging, everything. But then, when I'm out of that door, I have to solve all the problems myself.
So how did you feel?
I feel scared. And there's a big gap between you and the outside world. And you have no skills to make a living.
Where will you sleep tonight?
That's really a difficult question to answer.
Former gymnast Sang Lan is an advocate for injured athletes.
The athletes who are not famous, some of them get very severe injuries. So we try to help them. Sometimes I try to hook them up with good hospitals and doctors.
Sang Lan has been trying to help injured athletes for many years. She knows firsthand what it means to need help. As a top gymnast on the Chinese national team, she came to New York to compete in the 1998 Goodwill Games. But she landed badly in a vault like this one and severely damaged her spinal cord. She is now paralyzed from her chest down.
I still remember the doctor told me that I couldn't walk anymore. When I heard that, I cannot describe my feelings in words. That was so cruel to me.
She returned home in a wheelchair. The government gave her about $50,000 and a few $100s a month after that. Hardly enough, she says, to rebuild a life.
I had to depend on myself. When I first came back, the Sports Bureau paid visits to me every year during the Spring Festival.
Once a year?
Yes, once a year.
That was it?
That's right.
So you didn't have regular insurance?
No, we didn't have that.
Sounds like everybody let you down.
Yes.
Today, Sang Lan is married and her husband helps take care of her. She has gone back to school, she got her degree, and found work as a television commentator. And last year, she took on a new challenge.
You had a baby. Was it very, very difficult for you to give birth? I heard it was particularly painful.
It's not painful, it's just risky.
You know what I'm thinking? You're still a champion.
Thank you. Thank you.
After Sang Lan's injury, officials of the General Administration of Sport made changes. They declined our request for an on-camera interview, but answered our questions by email, telling us there's now a special insurance program for injured and disabled athletes.
But the payments that they get still seem to be rather small.
Susan Brownell is a professor of anthropology at the University of Missouri, St. Louis. But back in the 1980s, she was a student at Beijing University and an unlikely local hero when she competed on the school's track and field team.
Yeah, the headline said, "The American Girl Who Won Glory for Beijing."
She came in first in the heptathlon in China's 1986 National College Games, and she's been studying the Chinese sports system ever since.
What is the insurance situation?
For some time now, athletes will get a one-time payment. Let's say they're injured and they can't train anymore, they have to retire. They'll get a one-time payment. But that doesn't really take care of you if you've got issues for the rest of your life. And so that kind of problem is really only just now being addressed in theory. Whether it's being implemented and played out in practice still remains to be seen. I mean, it's only as recently as 2 years ago that there was an effort to make sure that all of the athletes at the provincial level and above even had insurance against accidents.
The sports system also told us it now requires its athletes to go to school at least 12 hours a week.
There's been a lot of attempt, and there have been policies trying to require a certain minimum number of hours per day spent on education. It's actually been difficult to carry it out.
Wait, you mean they can have an order from on high and they don't carry it out? Really?
Oh, yeah, isn't that the way government operates everywhere?
China, when we were talking to Chinese, they would say, well, you don't understand our system. You don't understand us. What is it that we don't understand?
I mean, there tends to be, for example, with the sports system, a stereotype of this fixed, unchanging red machine that was borrowed from the Soviets and never changed. And in fact, it's been debated, it's been attacked, new policies have occurred, it's evolved, it's changed over time, and so it's just not a fair stereotype to think of it that way. And I think China as a whole is like that too. It is changing.
We got a glimpse of how the Chinese sports system is changing when we went to Potter's Wheel, a private tennis academy in Beijing, and met Anna.
Anna, hi. I'm Leslie.
The government is allowing promising young tennis players like 12-year-old Anna to train here outside of the system.
Don't wait for the ball. Go into the net.
Carlos Rodriguez, who coached Li Na, China's two-time Grand Slam champion, is giving Anna the same state-of-the-art physical training designed to reduce injuries and setting a tone very different from the tough method used by her coach in her province.
Excellent. Much better now.
But...
And as you go to school for your education?
I don't go to school. I haven't been to school since grade 6, elementary school.
Yao Ming told us that while most athletes still don't get enough school, most school kids don't get enough sports, and it's affecting their health.
They cannot even finish 400 meters. Some kids that die on court because they're heart attack or something because too fat.
One of his projects is to promote the idea of sports within the schools.
So there's not that kind of league where every high school has a team and they play against each other and
no.
The way there is in the States?
No.
Would you like to see that?
I would love to see that. I would love to see that.
With help from the NBA, he has already started an after-school program for basketball. He also enjoys watching his old team, the Shanghai Sharks, play. He is, after all, now the owner. His daughter is a basketball fan, too.
How old's your daughter?
4.5.
4.5?
Yeah.
Is your wife an athlete?
Yes.
What was her sport?
Basketball, too.
Wow. Oh, boy, they're going to come after your daughter. I feel it coming. I feel it coming. What do you think?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I understand my mom now, that why she don't want me to play basketball. That you almost have to relearn the life skill from beginning. But
you're doing okay.
I'm doing okay, but not everyone can be like me.
The story of former Duke men's lacrosse coach Mike Pressler is the story of a rush to judgment, which is what we called our report last month on 60 Minutes, some of which you will see here. Pressler was the only person to lose his job over what became known as the Duke rape case, a scandal based on a lie that nearly ruined Pressler's career and life. Today, he's living a new life in a different place, Bryant University. But what makes him such a rare coach, call it the Pressler effect, remains the same. It's at the heart of how he's been able to transform a struggling Division II lacrosse program into a Division I conference champion that just earned a spot in the NCAA postseason tournament for the third straight year. Get the ball!
The effect he has on his players comes with intensity.
Well, get soft in me, Werner. Cody, you got outfought.
Unfiltered honesty.
Could have won the game yourself.
And always with one purpose.
You didn't move your feet. Fuck. I can't handle losing. I have a physical reaction when I was a player. I still have a physical reaction when I coach.
What does it do to you?
I don't sleep. I can't think about anything else. It consumes me. It's I go on long walks in the middle of the night. I just try to figure it out. Let's go, tough guy, Moneyball.
Earlier this spring, Mike Pressler was consumed by the University of North Carolina men's lacrosse team, ranked second in the country. On paper, his Bryant Bulldogs appeared overmatched. But that would have been to overlook the coach in the trademark camouflage cap and shades on the opposing sideline. The last time Mike Pressler stepped on a lacrosse field in these parts was 9 years and 11 miles away at Duke University, the place his coaching career and life imploded.
I have physically and emotionally, I do not like getting off the runway at Raleigh-Durham Airport. I haven't driven by our old house. I can't do that. I try to get in there and do my business and get out of there as quick as I can.
As we reported on 60 Minutes last month, Pressler's reluctance to return to Duke traces back to the night of March 13, 2006, when members of his #1 ranked lacrosse team held an off-campus party at this house, which included alcohol and 2 strippers, one who later claimed she was attacked and raped in a bathroom. When Pressler, then in his 16th season at Duke, found out about the party and the woman's claims, he confronted his captains.
I asked each one of them to their face, one at a time, the astonishment on their face. And when you know your people, I knew exactly from their reaction to the allegations, this was absolutely untrue.
The problem was, few others did. This is how the late Ed Bradley described the media storm surrounding the Duke rape case on 60 Minutes.
The district attorney, Mike Nifong, took to the airways giving dozens of interviews expressing with absolute certainty that Duke lacrosse players had committed a horrific crime.
There's no doubt in my mind that she was raped and assaulted at this location.
His comments fueled explosive news coverage and fed public suspicion of the team before much of the evidence was gathered. D.A. Nifong referred to the lacrosse players as a bunch of hooligans whose daddies could buy them expensive lawyers.
When Mike Nifong starts to bring race, using words like hooligans and a wall of silence from a team that wasn't being silent, what are you thinking?
You could just see that there was a different agenda for these folks.
Nifong was in the midst of a tight election campaign. He fed the growing race and class divide long simmering in Durham, refusing to consider any evidence that didn't fit his narrative of the players' guilt.
I am not going to allow Durham's view in the mind of the world to be a bunch of lacrosse players from Duke raping a black girl in Durham.
It was transparently obvious that nothing had happened.
Chris Kennedy is the Senior Deputy Director of Athletics at Duke, where he has been on staff since 1977 and hasn't forgotten the mob mentality on campus that spring.
A sizable portion of people in the university had turned their backs on those kids and believed that the most heinous crimes had been committed.
At its worst, how bad was it?
Other than the death of my wife, it's the worst thing I've ever been through. It was painful because you had 46 kids who were really suffering, who knew for a long period of time that 2, 3, 4, some number were going to be indicted based on no evidence whatsoever. Imagine the stress of that on the kids and on their parents and everything.
3 weeks into the scandal, Pressler reached a crossroads: stand by his players or save himself and his career.
I was actually advised early on to distance myself from them, and at that time that was like blasphemy. You're telling me that? We don't run. We don't quit. That's not how we're made. You finish. You sign on. You finish what you start at all costs. That's it. You finish it.
With the rape scandal at full boil here at Duke, Pressler was summoned to the office of then athletic director Joe Oliva, where he was issued an ultimatum: resign immediately or risk being fired. So Pressler resigned, the sacrificial lamb needed to appease protesters and protect the school's gold-plated image.
For months, Pressler found himself untouchable in the world of lacrosse, unable to land even a volunteer high school coaching job. Until, that is, some 700 miles away in Smithfield, Rhode Island, Bryant University President Ronald Makeley, in the midst of rebuilding his athletic department, did something no one else had done. He listened and started searching for the truth.
We read a number of documents in the papers, and we followed up and talked to former coaches at various places. And what I heard consistently was that Mike was a stand-up coach. He was a great coach, and he had gotten himself into a firestorm in which Duke treated him very badly.
Where others saw risk, Makeley saw opportunity. He hired Pressler in August of 2006 to take over a nondescript Division II program.
You walk in the locker room, you look around, and you're thinking what?
We got some work to do. We had to reshape the culture here, a lot of changes.
At the elite level, lacrosse combines the coordination of hockey, physicality of football, team strategies of basketball, with the endurance of soccer. For Pressler, casting his team in that mold meant rebuilding Bryant from the ground up.
Fellas, no distractions here. Got 4 days left.
Our introduction to the Pressler way came on a Saturday at 6:45 a.m. last October.
Okay, 3 things here. Vocal. We are screaming. Why am I screaming at you? I'm starting the day. We're alert. We're absolutely alert, and we're motherfucking physical. Put that on the camera. Motherfucking physical. We're getting after it and getting after each other.
24 hours a day. The captains of this year's team told us their coach never clocks out.
The whole team gets emails from him at like 4 in the morning.
All-Americans midfielder Kevin Massa and goalie Gunnar Wall, midfielder Kevin Majorano, and defenseman Connor Dent.
I mean, you get texts from him late night when he's watching film just reminding you of something.
You know, like 4 a.m. one time.
Yeah.
After you watch the film like 4 times.
You ever wonder when he sleeps?
I don't think he does. I don't think he sleeps anymore.
Catch, cradle, throw it!
In recent years, Pressler has expanded his recruiting base beyond the traditional cradle of lacrosse on the eastern seaboard and into the fertile grounds out west, where the sport is booming, stacking his roster with raw size, speed, and toughness.
We're not going to get the top 20 recruit, but we got to get guys that are going to mature during the time here. We got to get guys that are going to grow. And we got to get guys whose best lacrosse is ahead of them and they haven't peaked in high school.
The common denominator, the hyper-competitive intangible, he calls juice.
Can you see players you look at and go, he's got juice, he doesn't have any juice?
Oh, yeah. I'm not afraid to tell him either way, too. And, you know, to play here and to play for us, you know, we got to outcompete teams, we got to outwork teams, we got to outbattle teams. You know, we're not going to beat teams at the highest level here just because we're better on the field. So all those intangibles have to be on our side of the ledger.
Kyle Moomouth, you're D'ing the shit out of 22.
Some of those intangibles are found in Pressler's 16-page scouting reports, like this one for Bryant's home opener against Colgate. Deeply detailed, packed with diagrams, matchups, and game strategies.
We're not going for the first one, we're going for the best one. Does everybody understand the difference there?
It doesn't matter what kind of meeting it is, whether it's a team meeting, pregame speech, or just a casual conversation. I mean, the intensity that he speaks with, so intense and so passionate about what he's saying all the time, just really makes you believe in what he's doing.
Zach Greer believed in what Pressler was doing, so much so the leading scorer in Division I history left Duke before his final season to play for Pressler, much to the surprise of Bryant University president Ron Makeley.
And I said to Zach, you know, you could go to Cornell or any other great school to play lacrosse. Why would you come to Bryant? And he said, you know, Mr. President, he said, Mike took the fall for all of us. And if I can come back and pay back a little bit of the obligation that we all feel, that's my duty. And that's sort of the relationship he develops with his teams and with his players and with their parents.
On the wings for the Bulldogs.
Now in his 9th season in Smithfield, Pressler has developed Bryant from a Division II afterthought into a legitimate top 20 program. Last year in the NCAA tournament, his Bulldogs knocked off number 2 seed and 11-time national champion Syracuse.
And the Bulldogs stole the orange!
In what was called the greatest upset in the history of the postseason tournament. But moments like this are only part of the Pressler effect. His style and system of coaching have transformed Bryant athletics.
It appears he's had a huge impact.
Huge impact. Not just in lacrosse, but in all of our sports. Last spring, which was our second year eligibility in Division I, 6 of our spring sports won the championship and went to the NCAAs. That's a remarkable single-season record. Well, you can say, well, how'd that happen? Well, in part it happened because they saw how hard Mike worked, how he worked as a Division I coach. And these were Division II coaches who had just moved up into Division I level in many cases. And so they began to mimic his style of intensity of workouts and commitment to recruiting.
We got better today.
The success of Bryant's athletic department has been felt across the entire campus. Applications are up 15%, and the school is set to break ground on 5 buildings this month, including a new indoor practice facility for lacrosse. It's a long way from the spring of 2006 and the dark days at Duke, in a night he never lets his captains forget.
Anybody can wear a C on his jersey at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Who's going to wear the C and do the C and do the C at 2 a.m. on Saturday night? Coach. We got it, guys? Coach. Okay.
Does he ever reference Duke in any way?
I think he brings it up. He doesn't shy away from it. He uses it as a learning experience. Every weekend we go out, he knows what goes on. So he said just think about if something happened. He could have media trucks all around Smithfield, all around Route 7. So it's just always having that in the back of your mind of watching each other's backs and making sure you're doing the right thing.
Something historic will happen this year in Major League Baseball that you probably aren't aware of. Sports Illustrated's executive editor, John Wertheim, is well aware of it, and here is his view from the press box.
If you've ever wondered about the importance of promotion and self-promotion in modern sports, here's a thought exercise. You could make the case that he's the best baseball player of this generation, an unrivaled hitter with 10 gold gloves. He's beloved by teammates, he's played for 20 years, his next controversy will be his first. Can you name him? Derek Jeter's a good guess, but this guy's still active. Albert Pujols? Try again. We speak of Ichiro Suzuki, surely the most underrated figure in sports. A platoon player, Ichiro earns $2 million, pocket change relative to other stars, as an outfielder for the Marlins. He's 41 and likely to retire at season's end. And ahead of his quiet autumn, we offer our tribute now. First, the empirical. Ichiro turned in 10 straight seasons of 200-plus hits, a major league record. That includes 262 hits in one of them, also a record. Add the nearly 1,300 hits he first accumulated in Japan, and he's challenging Pete Rose as professional baseball's all-time king. Ichiro also distinguished himself with defense and with his speed, nearly 500 steals for his career. Beyond the numbers, he discharged his duties with a certain mysticism. He hit prolifically, but it was never an act of violence. He didn't crush the ball, he maneuvered it, his bat less a club than a 31-ounce paintbrush. Ichiro had his weaknesses, though. Geography, for one. He spent most of his career in the upper left-hand corner of the country, playing games for lousy Seattle Mariners teams long after the East Coast tastemakers had gone to bed. His timing was off, too. When he played for the Yankees, it was overshadowed by the goodbye seasons for Mariano Rivera and Derek Jeter. Ichiro's real shortcoming, in an age of brand building and look-at-me sensibilities, he was perfectly happy when gazes and cameras fixed elsewhere. So the best hitter in a generation, maybe ever, will leave baseball the way he played baseball, with dignity, grace, and not enough fanfare.
Ichiro was one of the first Major League ball players to come out of Japan, part of what has become a pipeline of international players from places like the Dominican Republic and Cuba. But there's a place in our own backyard that has been extraordinarily successful as a funnel to the majors, the Cape Cod Baseball League. Every summer, while tourists invade the hook-shaped piece of Massachusetts coastline, so do the nation's best young college baseball players. Admission to the games is free, preferred seating is a lawn chair or beach towel, and Major League scouts circle the 10 village fields like sharks. It's a favorite hunting ground. More than 1,100 Major League Baseball players spent at least one season playing on the Cape. In about a month, that ritual will begin again. A new crop of college players will arrive on Cape Cod, and as Major League Baseball holds its annual draft, last year's crew will find out if their big league dreams come true.
Summer on Cape Cod, the quiet of boats rocking on their moorings, the serenity of harbors and beaches, broken by that familiar sound. Young men trying to realize their dreams on the Cape's dusty baseball diamonds. Jake Fincher is one of them. A center fielder from North Carolina State, he was invited to spend the summer playing on the Cape, along with some of the other top players in the country.
What's the dream as you play here this summer?
Just to have a good summer, get better, and get one step closer to the big leagues.
All the players on the 10 Cape Cod teams share that dream.
And no amateur summer league in the world has helped more young people realize it. Stars like Mark Teixeira, Evan Longoria, and Jason Varitek spent a summer playing ball on the Cape. You can see their pictures in the league's Hall of Fame in Hyannis.
Come on, guys, here we go.
Coaches like Mike Roberts, Jake Fincher's coach, find these future stars on college teams and invite them to the Cape.
Do you recruit them?
Oh, yeah. Each team kind of has their pockets that they recruit, different schools, different coaches they're friends with. And so each organization, the coaches and the general managers will recruit the players.
How special is this league?
Well, this league is the best amateur league in the world, bar none.
Mike Roberts was the head coach at the University of North Carolina for 20 years. Now he spends his summers in the Cape Cod town of Cotuit, trying to mold college players into major leaguers. He told us his salary barely covers the summer rent.
Shortstop.
It was over 80 degrees that day in Cotuit, but Roberts, at age 64, was pitching batting practice to a bunch of 20-year-olds.
See, right there, you shouldn't have quit with your hands. See, all you're doing is saying, I beat you, and I didn't beat you. You beat yourself. And stay off of it where you go
and
down.
Schooling them on the finer points of a changeup.
Okay, so that these fingers are up when you release it. Here, so all we're doing is back spinning it, throw your changeups.
He encouraged all his pitchers not to give up, even if they're getting hammered in the first couple innings.
You guys have done an excellent job with the pitching, and I've told you this many times. It's not how we start, it's how we finish. Oh, yeah.
The advice paid off. On that hot afternoon, with Mike Roberts coaching from third base, his Cotuit team came from behind with a 3-run homer to win the game against Wareham.
What a beautiful swing.
Coach Roberts is great. He's a real high energy coach.
What is it you learn in the Cape League that you're not going to learn in college?
I think it's just that more pro aspect of what the next level is going to be like, and this is kind of maybe similar to like a rookie ball or single A league or something like that.
You know it's a higher level of baseball when you see who's watching. There are more than just fans in the stands. Scouts representing just about every major league team are here. The Dodgers, the Royals, the Tigers, and Mariners.
So tell me, what is your summer like?
Summer's crazy.
Nick Hostetler is a scout for the Chicago White Sox.
How many scouts will be at any one of these little...
There could be anywhere between 20 to 50 guys at one game.
As a scout, what's the draw to the Cape League?
Having the best college players in the country all in one spot.
The scouts all come here because they know the best players are here. And the best players want to come here because they know the scouts is here. So as
Paul Gallup has been the league's commissioner for 11 years. He isn't paid a dime.
Describe the atmosphere at a game.
Family-like atmosphere.
The anthem this evening will be performed by the Cape Cod Surf Tones Men's Chorus.
Oh, say can you see?
I love using the phrase that Norman Rockwell somewhere is smiling down because what he had in mind happens here 5 times a night on Cape Cod. You've got people on blankets, got families that are together.
Kids play catch on the sidelines.
How's it going, buddy? I like your hat.
And no player is too big to sign autographs for them. At the All-Star game, there was so much stuff to be signed, it looked like an assembly line.
50-50!
They don't charge admission to the games, so players hawk raffle tickets to raise money for their team.
Have a Gatorade, please?
Sure. Volunteers sell snacks and T-shirts.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the game.
And if you want a seat, you have to get there early or get clever. Like Joe Ulian and his new bride, Linda Lang. Joe, a retired philosophy professor, says he's been to 500 games in more than 30 years. In the town of Chatham, he protects his turf behind home plate with a padlock.
What's with locking the chairs?
Well, we had a couple of accidents with a couple of pairs of chairs of ours that sort of went elsewhere.
They were stolen.
Yeah. Play ball.
Joe and Linda are fixtures behind home plate. Joe keeps a scorecard for every game, a performance record of the guys he and Linda call Cape Cod celebrities.
The baseball players are the stars of the town in the summer, and they can't walk through the streets, go into a store or restaurant without someone saying, "Oh, you play for the Anglers, don't you?" It's just wonderful. It's hometown America, I guess, as close as we've ever come to it.
It's pure baseball, and it's the last innocent step for these high-profile college kids. Many of them next year at this time will be signed to contracts. Probably at least a dozen of them will be instant millionaires once the draft comes and they're in the first round.
They may be millionaires in the making, but on the Cape, the league goes out of its way not to coddle them.
Get up! Hey! Come on, I have breakfast! CJ, come on, I have breakfast, honey.
The players all have to bunk with local families.
All right, get yourself something to drink.
Volunteers like Ashby Crafts play the role of den mother and drill sergeant.
I scream at them like they're my own kids. And I try to teach these guys manners. There's no cell phone at my table. When we eat, it's a family thing.
How's breakfast?
Best breakfast you've ever made.
Ashby says she's just trying to keep the elite players grounded. She has them do chores on the farm she and her husband Tom own in Harwichport. Ian Happ is a star switch hitter from the University of Cincinnati, but Ashby has him feeding the pigs. C.J. Hinojosa is a University of Texas shortstop. Seth McGarry is a pitcher from Florida Atlantic.
Come here.
His teammate, outfielder Brendan Sanger, is fortunately better catching balls than he is catching the cows.
What's it been like?
It's awesome.
Is it that different than playing in college?
Up here, you never get a break. Every day, it's a good pitcher.
And do you feel the pressure?
Sometimes. Sometimes it happens where you're like, God, I need a break. I need somebody who's not throwing 95, but, you just have to keep going.
If you can succeed here, you're going to take your baseball career to another level. There's no question about it.
Yeah, attaboy. John Schiffner, a retired high school teacher, has coached the team in the town of Chatham for 22 seasons.
Get over!
1 year, your entire team was drafted.
Mm-hmm. That's not unusual for any of the teams. It's not. Getting drafted, most of these players should be getting drafted.
Last year, 13 of the 18 college players drafted in the MLB's first round were Cape Cod alumni.
Come on now, swing the bat!
But Schiffner has also seen young players with swagger humbled by summer slumps and overcome with self-doubt.
And how tough is that for a guy who's maybe used to not seeing the best pitcher on a Wednesday night in college?
It can be devastating. They're going to say, dear Mom, I'm coming home. They're throwing sliders here.
Complicating matters, unlike college teams that use aluminum bats, the Cape Cod League uses wooden bats like the majors. They are fragile and break a lot. They've also been known to break the confidence of many young players.
We tell the kids that if you're using the aluminum bats in college, which they are, and then you come here, your batting average is going to probably be off between 100 and 125 points. So if you're batting 375, you might be batting 250 here. So then...
That's got to be hard to take.
It is hard to take because a lot of these kids really haven't been exposed to the lack of succeeding.
You want to hit it in the sweet spot. And
if you don't hit it in the sweet spot?
Your hand is a little tingly. So you don't really want to do that. I enjoy hitting with them. I think it makes the game truer.
How so truer?
So if you don't catch it on the barrel, if you get jammed, the bat's going to break. It's not going to go anywhere. And that's how the game's supposed to be played. That's how they play at the highest level.
Jake Fincher has been trying to get to that level for 2 summers. He didn't get drafted the first time, so he came back for a second season.
Mind saying what your dream teams would be?
I've always been a Yankees fan since I've been little. I live in the Charlotte area, so the Braves are the closest team. So both of those teams would be awesome teams to play for one day.
What Jake didn't know is that a Yankee scout had been quietly watching him on the Cape. Days later, Jake and the rest of the players were at Fenway Park in a showcase sponsored by Major League Baseball. The college kids had the Green Monster to themselves. No fans in the stands, just scouts. And another Yankee scout reached out to Jake.
Hey, Jake.
To tell him how well he was doing.
Hey, how you doing? Matt Hyde with the Yankees. Jake, You're nice having an awesome summer.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I covered you for maybe 6 or 7 games.
Yes, sir.
Keep it up.
I will do.
Keep having fun with it.
Yes, sir.
It's fun to watch you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The scouts were sizing up the players' hitting, fielding, and running skills. The Yankee scout liked what he saw in Ian Happ as well.
Have an understanding for how the game's played up here. It's just, higher level of baseball. Yeah. Less frustrating.
Oh, yeah. It's good. It's good. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Great seeing you again. All right.
Your life could be so different next July versus this July.
You're trying to make us think about it now. See, we spend the whole summer trying not to think about it, and you're telling us to think about
Why would you try not to think about it?
Because you can't get too far ahead of yourself.
Starting right fielder, Ian Happ.
Ian had a great summer on Cape Cod. He made the All-Star team and could be a first-round draft pick.
Oh, he got it!
His roommate CJ is expected to get drafted too.
I remember as a kid, I used to tell everybody I'm going to be a Major League Baseball player, and I just get laughed at. I mean, it's my dream, so I'm going to treat it as my dream and go out there and have fun with it.
So these are all the boys. These are all the boys.
Where did they end up?
Let's see, this one was with Baltimore. This one was with the Rockies.
It must be something to see the kid who's eating all your eggs at breakfast to be playing in the major leagues.
It's pretty exciting.
But they all stayed in this room up here.
Every single one.
What's it like when they leave?
Quiet.
It's sad. A couple of times I'm almost starting to tear up now. I get attached to these boys. You know, you say goodbye to your friend, but then you hope you see them on national TV very shortly.
Lights are going!
What's 16 feet long, 6.5 feet wide, and can have as many as 18 legs? Squatch, an inflatable stand-up paddleboard that can hold up to 9 people. Surfer Jamie O'Brien and his friends recently rode one in the high surf off the north shore of Oahu. It's part surfboard, part sled, and as you're about to see, a whole lot of fun. Here's your GoPro moment of the month.
Hey, they thought they had a bigger board than us. Oh, yeah. 15 feet is pretty good size Waimea. Definitely no joke out there. Selfies at Waimea Bay. 15 feet on a 17-foot board. Gorman, Kalani, Rubes, Scotty, Poot, Walshy, Ichima, Shoka, Arokusaki.
It's all about creating a moment and sharing a memory, and to me, that's what life's all about. There's a lot of good moments, you know, surfing out here with all of our friends, and it's like, it's never gonna end.
I'm Sharon Alfonsi. We'll be back next month with a brand new edition of 60 Minutes Sports.
It's all about creating a moment and sharing a memory, and to me, that's what life's all about.